I'm going to call our parking committee meeting to order at 7:12 p.m. First thing on the agenda is comments and suggestions. Hearing none, we're going to go on to item 3, discussion items. A is the garage management monthly report.
Good evening, Forrest Friedman with Reef Parking. Everybody's doing well tonight. Good month in March. Numbers are picking up. I know at the beginning of the year we were behind budget. As we've gotten into the month, I mean, we're barely exceeding it, but we are definitely a little bit above budget. Much better than last year. You know, we were still in COVID, coming out of that. We're not going to see kind of a leveling of those numbers until probably June, July-ish. Year to date, again, we're behind budget, about 42 grand. We anticipate that will level out as we continue on throughout the year, and then the months will pick up. We do have a little bit of construction still ongoing at Bicentennial, taking a few spaces. They're doing the facade work. That'll wrap up, but we do have 132 parkers on the waiting list, which we're trying to push over to Chestnut Street and pick up some of the revenue over there. So that we anticipate that. We did lose a group of parkers at Chestnut Street. It was Access Group. They've decided to go to a hybrid schedule, so we'll be picking that up in transient revenue, just not in the monthly side. But again, our hope is with the 132 parkers from Bicentennial, we can push them over to Chestnut Street, and kind of level everything out a little bit. Garage occupancy is roughly the same. There's ebbs and flows like anything, but as the warmer weather kicks in, people will be out. So it's all good stuff when it comes to that. Continuing to monitor, our staffing, just making sure everything's okay. We have a little bit of staffing on the weekends to make sure gates don't get broken, things of that nature. Garage cleanliness, always a priority. It's, want to make sure everything's looking good. On the expense side, we're 15,000 unfavorable to budget year to date. That's R&M, which is mainly related to equipment repairs, as well as the credit card fees. As the revenue's going up, it's the credit card fees also go up as in a comparable fashion, but they do go up. We had less snow removal this year, which is nice, and hopefully we're through it at this point. Onto the grass. As we continue to, we see the downturn, as we hit, we peaked in October, November, December. January was by far our lowest month, and then we're coming back out of it. This is on a revenue basis. As we flip to the next chart, which is issued, they look almost flat in terms of from February to March, a little bit of an uptick. The actual comparison of the revenues, which is the next one, see the upward trend for February and March. We anticipate this to continue. It's kind of how the cycle goes. But definitely, if you go back into January, February, March of last year, we're much higher than that. And, we anticipate, again, June, July, and August to, exceed those numbers as well. So, we'll definitely peak up as we go. Questions, comments, concerns?
Thank
you very much. Have a good night.
All right. B is the director's report.
This is going to be real quick on my part. I want to check in on our financials and say March was really good. So $175,000 in parking meter revenues, probably one of our best months since 2019. And it's about 15 to 20% below pre-pandemic levels. And that's been a pretty consistent ratio in our robust revenue months, being about 15 to 20% below. So the curious question we're asking ourselves, is that the new normal? Did we lose 15% of our activity post-COVID, or is that going to come back, and when is it going to come back, and or are we going to exceed where we were in 2019? So that's what that number makes me think of. But good news on the financial front, to echo Forrest's comment about the garages. The total variance, we are positive about $5,000 of budget right now to the positive on our variance through the first quarter of 2022. So that's a good way of saying, hey, we wrote a pretty good budget, right? So we thought we were going to make $1,057,000 in our first 3 months in these revenue categories, and we made $1,062,000. So things are trending in the right direction. Parking revenue is up, but I wanted to highlight the meters issues. To our garages, I have a couple comments. We remember we were talking about refurbishing the signs. We got one refurbished. I like the way it looks. It cost us $375 to do it. So we're going to do them all. And then by our next meeting, I will have something worked out with the bid in terms of how we memorialize the existing arrangement we have where the bid sells advertising space in some of those locations in the borough. What I'm going to propose is that the borough retain some portion of the advertising space for its own events and purposes that somewhat monetizes our investment in the capital and the maintenance of those signs. So I think that would be a good arrangement, a good give and take between the borough and the bid on that point. And that's all I have for my quick summary, not a full-blown report this month.
Thank you. C is parking recommendations on the 200 block of East Market Street.
So yeah, thank you. It was brought to our attention by a business owner on the south side of 200 block of East Market. That's the block that is just east of Matlack. Thank you very much. I was going to say, Bill, could you pull up a Google map? And sorry, I see I'm making Bill do all this extra stuff. That is where our single space meter zone ends. And the issue that was brought to our attention is that's currently regulated for 3-hour parking. So thou shall not park in this area for more than 3 hours, in addition to some street sweeping regulations. And I forget what date and time we restrict parking there for street sweeping. We have not written a 3-hour ticket violation here anytime in the last 5 years. We ran some enforcement through this area. We did not find any violators of the 3-hour regulations. But the complaint is basically, look, I'm running a business here and we need spaces to turn over on a more regular basis because my customers need to get somewhat close to my business or they may not patronize my business. So his idea was to reduce the reduce the time length that you can park there without being in violation. We have a different proposal. Parking spaces in your downtown generate about $3,400 a year. So what's that? About $17 a linear foot. That's how much your curb is worth in your downtown. It's worth that much money because people want to be here. People want to live here. They want to go to school here. They want to do business here. They want to come entertain themselves here. Soon the borough will be housing 219 families just east of here. So I think it's timely for us to consider, and I don't have a well-drafted proposal yet, but to consider extending our metered spaces along this block, change our regulations. That solves the problem of the spaces turning over. It also gets us in a good position to force more of those parking opportunists back into the new development that's coming, or into our paying meters if they're staying for a brief amount of time in our downtown. So that's where I'm leaning with this recommendation. It's not fully vetted yet. We want to look at a few more details, but I think the time's right to consider that as a possibility.
Sean, the meters, are they on the north side or south side you're talking about? Well, there you go, south side.
There's no parking on the north
north
side right
side,
now. It's
yeah.
a travel lane. So the south side is currently regulated 3-hour parking.
Should we put a kiosk there?
Kiosks are great tools, but I think it's more important, this is more of a policy decision that I've thought through, but we think it's more important to have consistent payment methodologies in the same geographies. So there's 2 kiosks right now on 44 West Gay. I want to relocate them to the University District, and I want to convert all the University District to multi-space meters. So the user experience then will be consistent. You want to park near the university. That first time you walk up to a kiosk to do it, there might be a learning curve, but after that, you're going to know how it works. You park in our downtown on the street, you're going to pay at a single space meter, which frankly, honestly, is a little bit, again, might be showing my age, but a little more intuitive, right? The thing is sitting there on a pole. That's what you put your money in. Now it takes credit cards. So we want to have a consistent geography of enforcement technology.
I'm in full agreement with this. I would like to bring this to council as soon as possible. So I don't know if we should wait for your proposal to be more formalized before we do that?
Yeah, if it's okay with you, can we table it till the May meeting and we can be ready for the May meeting? The May meetings, which will be taking place a half hour sooner.
Do you know how many spaces are there, Mr. Metric?
That I don't right now. Yeah. Just whatever the linear feet is, take away 15 feet from the curb and divide by 22. And don't use any remainders.
Okay, I love the consistency point as well. I think that is key. I don't care how old anybody is or what they're used to. Consistency is number one. I'm going to move to number 4. Consider adding 1 handicap space in front of 402 West Union Street, South Side.
Mike Mojica, the parking manager for the Borough of Westchester. I got an email last month from residents on 402 West Union requesting a handicap be erected in front of his house. He submitted the handicap placard, handicap ID card that goes with the placard, and person really needs the handicap. I mean, he really needs it, so. Up to you guys to decide, but I would.
No questions here.
We're all in agreement that we're
I get
good. Thank you. So do I have to add that to Borough Council meeting? Or, okay, so I'm going to add to the work session that we consider adding the handicap space in front of 402 West Union Street, South Side. Then move to number 5, action items. Approve March 2022 Parking Committee meeting minutes.
Approved.
And any other business. I do have one request given to me in person by a neighbor in Ward 5 who has asked me to point out that some of the guest permit are being used inappropriately in our area. I don't really know who is using this. I don't know how this is exactly monitored or if it is monitored, but I am voicing that. Thank you. And the meeting is adjourned.
Oh, great.